Hello, everyone.
You know, I'm late to the stage. It's been that kind of week.
Yeah.
I'm like, I forgot my stats on the table.
Oh my God.
We don't have like a production crew like they could like run out and do the makeup and do the
We should.
yeah. My
Uh,
budget's not quite there yet. Um, maybe next year. But
yes.
yeah, so we're gonna be doing the stats today. It's mid-April. It's been a crappy, horrible.
April's been horrible, yeah. Well,
Was
like
it
the
March?
weather.
Like March has been really nice.
March was nice. Yeah.
Do
It was
you?
like a little cold.
Well, you got 80 degrees last.
Yeah.
It was
There was like,
82 a
yeah.
couple of weeks ago. But anyway, we have a lot to go over, and it still hasn't showed up on my feed yet. I'm waiting for it to come up on my. So if you're on multiple platforms, there's Facebook Live. And nobody expected me to do this today.
No.
No, I had kind of
No
like a
one.
thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm here is almost by surprise.
It is.
Come on, you're gonna get a break today, and it's probably like, oh my God, he's coming in.
No. No. No.
Because it's Friday, and I just feel like if I don't get this out of the way, it's like something I
You're
gotta do
gonna think
next
about
week.
it. Yeah.
And I'm like, I like to just get my projects done, and some, well, to a certain degree. But anyway, and I can't even find it on. Oh, there we
There we go.
go. So, and I gotta listen to myself.
I know. Please.
But we're gonna be doing the stats, and let's get into what like the numbers mean for this week, for this month. So we look back. On March's stats, not so much April's. We'll get there, but we'll get into what's going on locally, and then we'll be doing New Jersey next week.
Yep.
And my surprise, I've risen back from a different kind of state to be here today.
Yes. We are thankful.
Are you?
Yes. Yes.
Somehow, I don't know. But anyway, let's get into it. What do we have this week? What do we have? What's the first thing we were going to go over?
Yeah, so the first stat to go over for Staten Island is the days on the market. So the days on the market have increased both year over year and month over month. So it's at 83 days for March. It went up 6.40% and up almost 11% month over month.
Yeah. Houses are staying on the market longer. So that's one of the things that we've seen. But contrary to what the next number is going to be, you're going to see that that's starting to change. It's taking longer for things to sell. And we've said this before, that, there's definitely been a slowing of the market. It's one of those things where we talked about like divergence when we start seeing things like CDOM or cumulative days on the market increase. Even though numbers may be increasing, it could be a sign that things are a little bit slower than we'd like. And this has been this is a wild time just overall, because it's just I've been around a while, and this is one of the I have no idea. I just got a text. I've been around a while, just to say, and this is one of the wildest times. So reading numbers week to week, month to month, it's like nothing makes sense completely. That you could say it's anything ever definitive happens. So when you see it says the year over year difference is up 6%, 10% month over month on the days on the market. Generally, that means that prices that people, and I'll probably look at this as we go down the stat list, the prices people are asking for are starting to exceed past the expectation that most people are willing to go. And I saw that on a I believe it was on MSN, that home sellers will pull their house off the market if they don't get their price and actually go through with the sale.
Oh, really?
Or reduce their price. So it's one of the things that really have taken shape over the last year. People are pretty insistent on their prices being what they are, even if they are considered to be above where they should be. But let's get to the next number. But that is an increase of 10% month over month, 6%, 6.5% year over year on the cumulative days on the market, which has been on the march upward.
Yes. So the next number is the month's inventory.
That's where it gets interesting.
Month's inventory has decreased 31% year over year, and month over month decreased almost 14%.
Okay. That's where this is one of those, this is where stats get so crazy that typically this usually doesn't run like this way, where you have cumulative days on the market, but months inventory continues to shrink. There is a little bit of concern here. And why I say that is that what I'm really seeing when I see cumulative days on the market increase, months inventory decrease, meaning that the volume of sales of the houses that are available are coming off faster than a year ago, which is now puts it down 30. I mean, you said 31% year over year difference.
Yeah.
So it was almost 5 months. Last March was pretty rough, but when we talk about 31% year over year difference, that's significant. That's a real big jump. I haven't seen that number, I think, since we've been doing the stats. The month's inventory dropped that low. This means that at the current rate of sales, it would only take 3 months to remove, based on the current volume of sales, to completely remove the inventory from the market. So it's only down to 3.68. It was in March, it was at 5.3. But the interesting thing is, here's where the numbers don't make sense, is that the days on the market's increased, in the same, which it's definitely odd. So things are taking longer to sell, but people are they're not putting their houses on the market. The people that are and pricing them correctly are likely still getting bids over or close to the list price. And I think, even the sales to list price ratio, that's where it's showing up. And that's probably the next number you're going to give me.
Yeah, so the sales to list price ratio has increased year over year 1% and has increased month over month 0.30%.
Yeah, so that's significant. A 1% increase in the sale to list price ratio, that means sellers are averaging, it was all the way down. So just look at it. From March of last year, it was down to 96.5. By every stretch, March of last year was probably one of the, looking at it now, is probably one of the not so positive things I've seen in the market since we've been doing stats here. I think in February 2023, we had the same kind of setup. But the 1% increase year over year is significant. That's means that the sellers are getting closer to their list price than they have a year ago, and that's still on the increase. This year, I think after there was a big spurt of buying after the new administration came in. Like, a lot of people came off the market, came off the fence, and have really decided to go out and purchase a house right after that. And there was a lot of activity, and then it kind of slowed somewhat. But interest rates had come down considerably back in September. I mean, this is one of the it's hard to kind of figure out, to give you and maybe it's a lot of the data there's not a lot of home sales, so the data could get skewed quite a bit, but this is pretty significant, because even when you go to the next number, it's still, last year was a heck of a month. Last year over year numbers were significantly higher. Mm-hmm. I think we beat 2024's numbers by quite a bit. So what's the next one?
The sold medium listing. So that's increased year over year, like 7.50%, and has decreased month over month almost 0.5%.
So this tells you basically what the median listed price of the houses that are currently sold. Like what was the median listed price when they sold. Sorry for looking down a lot because these numbers are baffling me. So I need, sometimes I look at this for the first time here and it's like, but so 7% is so people consistently who are purchasing of the sold, they're moving their number up higher and higher to buy. I mean, and it's really, I think when we go to the next numbers, all the things are pointing in an upward trajectory. But there are some things month over month that haven't gone up. They've kind of come down. And I think maybe this couple of weeks uncertainty in the markets as a general, people will see like if there's going to be a kind of switch to be a little bit more concerned. But I would caution people who are in the purchasing and who are like really not sure about whether to buy or not in this current environment. There's nothing here again that seems to be suggest that anything has tailed down much at all. Some of the month over month numbers came down a little bit, but overall, you know, and what was the pending? The pending average listing is up.
Yeah, so that has increased year over year 10%, and has increased month over month 9%.
9%. So 9%, and so 7%. So the pending. This is houses that are currently in contract where their list prices were when they went into. So this is kind of more of a more like recent, like the recent sales that have happened. It's a whole 10% higher. 9% month over 9% month over month, which is wild. 10% year over year. So most of it. So, you know, the pending average listing, a lot of data gets skewed here because you could get a big sale. I don't know how reliable that is when I do with averages because we don't really deal with a big sample size. So you can kind of skew the data there. So I'm not really going to get too much into that. The skewed data is anything worth saying average. When we deal with low number of volume, which is the current market, you get data anomalies. And I think that's one of them here. So that's pretty much that. Sorry for looking down so much today because it's like, this is like reading hieroglyphics.
Yes.
I have to figure out what they mean. And I do this kind of ad lib. I kind of get a little brief before I go in, and then I kind of evaluate right here on the spot. So you can see me do this in person.
In person.
Yes. Right here, I'm doing it in person.
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
I'm live, yeah.
Yes. It is. It's just like an in-person interview. So what do we have next?
The sold average listing. So this sold average listing is up year over year 7%, but has decreased month over month almost 3%.
Yeah, not interested.
Not interested.
So I'm going to stay away from averages here. Too much data to be. It went up, down. Okay. Because if you look at the pending average and sold average, you see the discrepancy there. It's down 2%, right, month over month. But yet in the pending average, it's up 9%. It's up 5% in the new average listing. Yeah, I don't see anything. It's not notable enough to say much about right now. As we get to the other numbers toward the tail end, I think I have some more kind of maybe to get into. The sold, you want to do the new average listing. Let's look at that.
Okay.
That's really where I see numbers changing.
Yeah. So the new average listing has increased both year over year and month over month. Year over year, it's increased 7%. Month over month, it's increased about 6%.
Right. So basically, home sellers are raising their price 7%. The new average listing that's coming on the market is 7% higher than it was a year ago. Sellers are raising the bar for putting their house in the market. So they're expecting more on their house and they're adjusting their price. So last year was the average was in March 2024 was the average house that came on averaged out to 819,000 is now up to 877,000. We're starting to approach 1 million here, folks. It won't be long. And based on some of the things we've seen with some of these bids, I could tell you it is, if you're in like the Eltingville, Great Kills area and you have a 2-family and you're anywhere near 1 million, it's an absolute show. Bring like a camera because you will be shocked at how many people. They say it's almost like a parade. They still get these parades in front of these houses. 2-family specifically in those 2 areas. I mean, there's probably other areas too. I just know of 2 instances where that kind of happened last week. There's a real push for 2-family houses. So if you have one, it's the time, and you can give us a call because we have plenty of people. We did one. It was Sorrel Avenue.
Oh yeah.
It was when I talk about insanity, it was insanity. The amount of people, calls. I mean, we probably managed to get around a few like possible assaults at the front door to get their offer through.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like it's been a little difficult.
Yeah.
You all right? You got an itch?
Yeah, my arm's itchy.
Like,
I know. Yeah.
did I put you on the spot?
Yeah. Okay. I was like trying to do it nonchalant.
Yes. It looks like you're doing a magic trick.
No.
It was like, what card? What hand is the ball in?
No.
Is it this one or that one? Anyway.
Sorry.
I think she's getting red.
I know,
Her cheeks are like, it's okay. It's all right, Carrie. You could scratch your hand behind your back.
Thank you. Okay.
I broke a train of thought.
Yes. So the next number sold average sale that has increased year over year 7% and decreased month over month 3%.
Decreased month over month, yeah, 3%. The sold average sale price, sold median sale price, month over month. I would say it's more interest rate driven. So it was a very good year on the sold average and sold. I'm going to hit them both at the same time so we get it out of the way. The sold average and the sold median are both up on the year, down on the months. One being 3%, 2%, 3%, 3.5%, 2.75% on the sold median. So the sold median sale price now came to $705 altogether on the median and $748,000 on the sold average sale price. So notable because the year over year has been, but that's a pretty significant decline month over month, though. I will say that. So things were, but this is why the numbers come so strange because you have like all these like kind of like months inventory numbers decreasing. Then you have this days on the market increasing, and then you have, and as we move on, like the numbers still improve. Then you have the sold median sale price going up. So it's like very, very odd market and odd times. But I hate to say this, some people, and I think one of the things that I've seen a good tactic to use is if you're out there buying a house and things seem to be like, you start seeing something on the market a little bit longer, it's still worth to try to, say, oh, let's go make an offer and see how things work out. It's not the worst strategy in the world when you deal with low inventory situations, but yet people who maybe overpricing the house to the market to a degree. So it's just worth trying to maybe seeing if you can negotiate, because you may not have a choice. Because the choices are few. And we've dealt with all this frustration. There's a lot of buyers. What they feel is like they get like kind of nervous about making an offer, and like they're like, oh, they're asking too much. They're asking too much. And then the house that comes up on the market comes up, and they're basically battling it out for the house that was priced right, and now there's multiple offers. It's a tale of two cities when it comes to real estate these days, and I think so. You have these people say, "Oh, that's the house I want, priced accordingly. That's the house I want to see." Multiple offers, and to kind of reiterate it's a repeat of what I just said, but it's just an emphasis that a lot of people sometimes will dismiss. They say, "Oh, well, it's an overpriced house. I don't want to see it. It's not what I want to spend." It's worth it to go see it and try to make an offer. If you haven't, make an offer. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to say no, and that's fine. You could move on to the next. But there have been instances where people have overpriced things, and then when they make the offer, surprisingly, they are accommodating to the buyer's offer. They will negotiate some, and sometimes significantly, depending on what. But finding the right house at the right price, and I'm going to tell you this off the bat, if you guys are looking out there in this market and you have the inkling to say, this is the house I want, you had better think about putting an offer in quickly. Because I've said this in the 20 years of doing this, everybody who I've ever spoken to or dealt with in real estate or sold a house to will always say, if you like the house at the price you like it at, chances are somebody else does too. That's just, it's the law of attraction as far as houses are concerned. Everybody wants the same thing.
Yeah. It's true.
Is it true?
Yes.
But that's how it works. So if you like it at the price, there's a good chance somebody else does too. And that's the way you should pursue it with that type of, because I've said, I walk into houses and I could tell. So I could tell we're walking into a house, this house is going to go for the price that it's at and probably likely to exceed it. And then some ones I'm kind of more iffy with, but that's just from my experience.
Yes.
So what's next?
That leads us to the active listings. Active listings have decreased year over year 15%, but has increased month over month 3%.
So 50% decrease. There's only 1,133 active listings, and I really don't think that this covers the full gamut of what that is, because the stats we're using, some of it's in Brooklyn. Actually, some of it's in New Jersey too now. I don't know if it's going to be considered in Jersey. We kind of merged MLSs a bit. But the houses that are in here are basically saying, we're basically saying that new listings, just to think that in 2004, 2005, I remember there was about 4,000 houses on the market. I always tell this story. Probably Carrie's ear will fall off on this. She's heard me say it a million times. But there was 4,000 houses on the market. And last I checked, I believe it was the lowest number of what I considered. So when they say active listings here, they include accepted offers. So when I did a search recently and said, let me take out the rest of the outside of Staten Island and let me just focus on Staten Island, there was only like 709 truly active houses that didn't have an acceptance, which was, it's ridiculously low. I've never seen it. Never seen it. I think that's the first time. If it was, I mean, I think it was like 2018. I saw we had this kind of market where it's like very limited inventory. But the funny thing is that prior to COVID, the real estate market wasn't really that good. Could you believe that? This is all post-COVID. The real estate market was not really great before COVID. After COVID, what changed significantly? A lot of funny money. So
The new listings have increased year over year 9% and month over month almost 32% new listings.
new listings. That's seasonal. Seasonality.
Yeah.
So from February to March is typically when people will put their house on the market. It's just that's how it works. Seasonality will determine that number to go up. So you really want to look at it in terms of like where the stats have typically fallen in a, you take seasonal averages, and the seasonal average says that between February and March is one of the most significant times of increase in new listings. So there's not much there. The interesting thing, it is 31% year over year higher. 9% year over year higher. So people are coming off the fence. So it is 9% higher than it was a year ago. So more people are interested in selling. But the funny thing is that more people are interested in selling, but the month's inventory is down. You can't make this stuff up. Maybe we were writing the data down wrong. I don't think so, but
no.
We double check and triple check. But
yes.
This is something, so based on the numbers, and let's just do the sold listings because I think that there's a tail on that.
So the sold listings both increased. Year over year, it's increased 23.70%, and month over month, and it has increased 19%.
Yeah. So sold listings consider their march upward, even though houses remain on the market longer. So the increase in inventory has led to more sales, but not decreases in prices. And that's where we want to see if there was a change in pricing or if there was any weakness in the market. Would the increase, so the only thing that the increase, what basically you're seeing in the data here is that as people have put their house on the market, there are buyers. The volume of buyers is slower, but they're still buying. It's just there's more inventory to pick, but they are buying. So if you look at the numbers in that sense, we kind of come to an understanding of why cumulative days on the market's up. Pending sales, sold median sale prices are all up across the board. So in this report, basically, we see more houses coming on the market. We see the real question moving forward is there a breaking point as people decide that, like, as prices consistently have come upward, and we see the cumulative days on the market increase, does that eventually pull people out of the market over the next 6 months? And that's really what we want to look for. I don't personally believe that that's going to be the case. We still have a sickeningly low inventory number considering everything we've talked about. And the month's inventory is from a year ago is down a whopping 13%. 31%. Excuse me, 13% month over month, 31% from a year ago. So the month's inventory. So things are humming pretty well. If you look at this, it's like you can't really, there's not really much. We were kind of looking, maybe things were starting to like go into like the stats were diverging, meaning we started seeing weakness maybe in the last two reports. This kind of like resets. Yeah. We look for a 3-month trend and it just hasn't happened.
No.
And for buyers out there, this is a frustrating situation because it does seem, for the most part, like the sellers have had their way with it. And I don't see anything in the fundamentals that say that that's going to get better. And the biggest difference, why, is the sales to list price ratio keeps rising. All right, so we're talking about a 1% year over year difference in sale list price on the increase, months inventory on the decrease. The only thing that makes this stat report like open your eyes is that it took 83 days versus 78 days to sell a house a year ago, an increase of 6% year over year. Everything else looks like the trajectory is on the upward trend right here. Is this the bump? And that's the question moving forward. Is it the bump? Is this like that the post, I'm going to say the post inauguration bump, like how the stock market moved, right? We saw the stock market move in this accelerated fashion in the last 6 months and this week. And anybody who disagrees with this is foolish, because I'm going to tell you from doing this for years, there has been correlations between the market behavior and what happens to real estate, although at a slower pace. I did some deep dives into this, the homework, and to say, that's the beauty of artificial intelligence. We could take data sets, overlay them, and I said, is there a correlation developed between how the stock market performance goes and people's sentiment about purchasing houses? And both, two of the more recent incidents have shown that it has weakened confidence a bit. And obviously you saw this week was a little nutty with prices, with stocks going down, the tariff situation, right? And then as soon as this is wild, it's crazy.
No.
It's crazy times. If you watch the markets, this is one of the. I'm laughing because it's almost comical. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Like, this is just wild times, and I can't. And when you read numbers, if you're a numbers person, and I've done this, I'm going on 15 years of doing this, and I've never seen the type of stuff that I see in these numbers. Oop, we lost some people. Oh, there we go. Oh, they're trying to reconnect. Oh God, I hope we didn't say anything. Okay, there we go. But the big thing is that, and we got cut off there. You're going to, I think my inclination is, for most people, you have to look at it and say, if you see what you want, assume that somebody else is going to see it. Make your offer quicker. This isn't a time. Well, that'll just, she's
for a little bit.
That'll be picked up by our special assistant.
Yes.
But the big thing is that you'll get a better cue into. I just completely lost my train of thought. It's that phone. But we will change this place to be a little bit bigger. There is a. I
see a comment.
Yeah, let's see. You freaking out in numbers. You freaking out. A numbers person, LOL. Oh, okay. So there's another numbers person out there. So this is on TikTok. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the question. Yeah, I am a numbers person. And when you do that, well, I understand the numbers, and I understand the difference between real estate and like other numbers is that there's an emotional thing attached to it. But there is also, so the emotional connection to housing makes numbers a little bit more difficult because people kind of attach themselves. I mean, unless like maybe you're a Tesla shareholder or an Apple shareholder, and you're really like, and I've seen it. I've seen it with like these people with cryptocurrencies. They have their own communities. Like everybody just buys this one token. It's a nutty time, and I'm laughing because these people are like literally religious about what they believe. And it's like the fundamentals don't even matter. They don't even care. As long as 15 people on X, 50,000 people on X think it's the value. And value is perception. Don't kid yourselves, guys. Perception is value, and people don't. If they didn't count, you wouldn't have influences on TikTok or any other platform. It's just that's how, or like why someone loves a show or whatever it may be. And this is why with real estate, it is personal. So it's hard to make justifications as to like, does the numbers make sense? Don't do it. This is one of the unusual circumstances because in the past, we've seen people literally, I've done this enough to say there's people who divert themselves out of, they convince themselves not to do something because they think a lot of times, and it doesn't really play out well for the people who are buyers. I've done this long enough. It's like, well, let's wait till next year. And it always, even when I've said the numbers don't make sense, every time I've seen it, it's really never gone in the wrong direction. Real estate has never really gone in the wrong direction. I don't think you can make like somebody said to me, oh, well, if you bought in 2006, you're lost. No, no more. I mean, you look at a place like Naples, Florida, right? Like they said, if you bought a house in Naples back in during the Great Recession, or you had a house and you try to sell it and you sold it for a loss, or like they would never recover. And they've not only recovered, they've tripled, quadrupled, and accelerated beyond what people would imagine. So I don't think anybody really becomes a loser in real estate. And I want you to say this to yourselves. When you're purchasing real estate, you're living in it. There is the secondary utility value that you have to consider. So when you guys think of real estate, unless you're an investor, of course, and it's just numbers, but there is an intrinsic value that you have to put your head around. You're going to live there in most cases. So if you ask me, is it a bad time? I don't use the time, is it a good time or a bad time to buy? You buy when you feel you need to and it's right for you, because nobody times these things out the way they want to. And most of the time, I've done this 1,000 times. You just have people who will consistently push the envelope. And I hate to say this, they'll go, they'll house shop for 5 years. They'll find the house that they love and then pass on it just to come back to the market in maybe 5 more years and say, oh, okay, now's the time. And it becomes a repetitive process. You can't really think of it as, you have to do it when you say in your head, use your first instinct, and it is instinctual. There's some decisions, I'm not saying that, you jump at everything, but your instinct that led you to that point is probably the more real instinct. And you need to really, I always said people second guess themselves, always find that the second guess is wrong.
Yeah.
Because like even on a test, and it's the same thing with a lot of purchases that you feel something, we have a tendency to second guess our decisions. And most of the time, it's the inclination that got you to that point. You probably did a lot of consideration, and now you've decided to move. Let me just see. Oh, he's been there. Real estate's awesome. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for the questions. So you've been there. You've been through the real estate recession of the 2008s. Let me just see what we got. Was it 411? Okay, so we're not running over time yet. But if you have any questions and you feel like you want to ask something, we're definitely here to give you some very fundamental advice. We can break down the numbers for you.
Yes.
And and I've been doing some homework with AI, and I'm actually now being able to break down what additional bedroom value, how to project an additional bedroom difference in a house, like from a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. I'll give those things. If you check out our channel, you're going to see more data like that and stats that will be able to give you like these real intricate insights into very key variables that we would never be able to do before, that you can't do from a just a typical home evaluation. So we're going to take some data and we're going to mash them up, and we're going to give you data like you've never seen it, in terms of how like these little nuances in maybe in 5 blocks, we could basically give you a breakdown of maybe what some of the fundamental aspects of the housing 5 blocks apart now may have a difference in looking at historical data. It's wild stuff. I've been playing with it, and you know me. I'm just. She tells me I don't sleep, and it's true because there's just. I guess the amount of knowledge you could get now is just so profound, and I just love to kind of mishmash stuff together and say, wow, you know, why does this happen? Now you can kind of get so much data and then like spit it out and like it's wild, guys. But we could actually see block by block. There could be a nuance, like historically, that actually says that if this happens here, or in other instances, that another part of town, like say, got a big box store or retailer to come in. What was the averages in 5 communities that's happened in the last 20 years? What was the averages of the sale increase? And now we could begin to factor these things in and like say, we can kind of narrow into like say, this is why these houses sell for a little bit more, or maybe a little less in some instances. And we can get into the nuances based on really, really, really specific localized data. It's fun.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, you would hate that. Come on. Research like that. Well, the beauty is that you don't have to. If you had to do, that's why it's wild time. So, if you do have a question, or you're selling, or you're doing anything like that, or you need some advice, please feel free to reach out. Obviously, you leave a comment in one of the sections. What do I think of Miami real estate? Okay. Carrie's getting antsy. Do you mind if I answer that?
No, go ahead.
So Miami real estate is interesting. I think Florida real estate's interesting overall. Like a lot of people are pessimistic about Florida and Miami. I don't really collect too much data on Miami proper. The outside of there is definitely seen. The problem with Florida real estate has been traditionally, I always call it like, it's a good barometer for the market future in a lot of instances. The Airbnb type stuff where you have a lot of investors who are not really well financed, basically they get there's a little froth in the markets. It's like, let's buy 6 Airbnbs, we're going to make everything, and you get these concentrations, and this is why Florida's had a difficult time in their most, in some of their more recent numbers, is Airbnb concentrations have led to price run-ups as far as housing, and also like people who can't pay these mortgages and they have to dump the properties. So I really think, though, it's limited to like these Airbnb type stuff. Where Miami stands, I think overall Florida's done a good job. I know there's a proposal for free. They're looking to eliminate property taxes in Florida. That's something to kind of think about. I mean, it's definitely one of those. Miami's a metro area, so I think most metro areas like Miami specifically continues to draw interest of very young hipsters. It's the place to go, right? I don't know, Carrie, you know. Is Miami the place to go?
It's like a vacation spot, yeah.
Like what? Like, I know it's a vacation spot, we all know that. But it's a hipster spot.
No, yeah.
Like people your age that want to be seen.
Yeah, my
right?
age, yeah.
They want to be seen. It's like the scene.
Yeah.
There's a scene. There's a scene aesthetic to that place. So that's where you go. But anyway, thanks, guys. If you have a question again, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can check us out there, and we'll have it full. No problem, Richard. You keep tuning in. We do these at the beginning of every month. We've had a little abbreviated because I had some other concerns personally that I had to take care of, but we do them the first couple of weeks, first 2 weeks of the month.
Yeah, that's
We do Staten Island, and we do
Jersey.
Monmouth, Ocean counties in New Jersey. But thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Ciao.